Today's journey takes us from Beauty Point to Longford.
What you can see here is the Tamar River where it flows into Bass Strait, and directly opposite I think is the town of Beauty Point where we spent last night. The interesting thing here is if you listen you can hear what appears to be the sound of waves, but there are no waves, there's just this turbulent water clearly where the river meets the sea, and the sound of that intersection is the noise you can hear, not any waves.
Near the intersection of Bass Strait is the Low Head Lighthouse, built to help ships travelling from Melbourne to Tasmania. Then it's on to the wineries. First of all, the Bay of Fires, famous for its House of Arras champagne, and then to Clover Hill, which has a sensational view over the valleys. We eventually arrive in Longford, park our camper trailer in the local caravan park, and head out to Woolmer's Estate, which is an 82-hectare property based around farming, built in 1817 by Thomas Archer. It's a two-part manor house with a coach house, the National Rose Garden, extensive outbuildings and convict cottages. The next day we leave Longford and head to Swansea. Why Swansea? Because our friends Kylie and Bridget have access to a house at Swansea and we're going to spend a few nights with them. The four of us head north, stopping at Bicheno and marvelling at the Bay of Fires. These rocks, covered in red lichen, are not named after the colour of the rocks, but rather because the original explorers noticed the many fires lit by the local Aboriginal people to maintain the quality of the land. We're looking forward to travelling to the Freycinet Peninsula and looking at the marvellous Wineglass Bay. We are not disappointed, it is one of the prettiest sights you could ever see. Named Wineglass Bay by the early whalers who, when slaughtering the beast, filled the waters with red blood. We drive back to Longford, park the camper, and the next day we head into Launceston, first of all visiting an amazing umbrella factory. From umbrellas to Bogue's Brewery, where I learn a fact that I did not previously know about beer, and why a photo of a Chinese restaurant called Miwa. One of our grandchildren, when a toddler, could not pronounce the name Maureen and used the title Miwa when looking for his grandmother's attention. How ironic that we then found a restaurant called Miwa. Of course, we had to have lunch there. The boat ride up Cataract Gorge turns out to be a great trip, not only because of the scenery, but because we meet Chris, the bloke in the circle. In response to the question, what's the one thing you'd see in Tasmania, he says, go to Cockle Creek. We do. Tonight we'll end up sleeping at Oatlands, having driven from Longford. On the way, we'll travel through the amazingly pretty town of Evandale, the home of the Glover Art Prize, and also the home of an annual Penny Farthing Festival. On the way, we stop at the Tasmanian Sauce Company, where a bloke, who I believe is a landscaper, has developed the most amazing garden, renovated a sensationally beautiful home, and makes sensational sauces and jams. How good is that? Then it's the town of Ross, famous for wool production and for its beautiful post office, built in 1832. And for this marvellous bridge, which is still the third oldest bridge in Australia, still in use. It's also in Ross where we taste Tasmania's famous scallop pies. Ross has a very interesting intersection where you can see examples of Salvation, the Catholic Church, Temptation, the Manor Ross Hotel, Recreation, the Town Hall, and, of course, Damnation, the jail, which is now a private dwelling. The last town for the day is Oatlands, which has become famous because its buildings appear in the series Rose Havens. And in this coffee shop we've had an interesting conversation with the woman who asked us for travel directions, Turns out she's an American now working in an Israeli university in IT. It was a wonderful conversation. Then we spent the night in a free park camped next to a windmill. I rummaged through my clothing drawer and got out the culturally appropriate clothing. No, I'm joking. That's my normal travelling gear. In the next episode, we'll start by stopping at a little town on the coast called Snug, visiting Cygnet, passing Bruny Island on the way. Then it's back into Hobart to go to the Museum of Old and New Art. Then another visit to the Salamanca Place Market, followed by travelling south again to the Port Arthur convict settlement. Thanks for watching.